Today I'll be doing a digital mirror comparison between the two major media mirrors out there in the market to replace the stock one that came in your Cybertruck. The one is called the S92 that I got from Tesstudio, and the other one's just called a mirror camera that I got from Hansshow. So throughout this video, I'll refer to this one as the S92 Tesstudio model, and I'll refer to this one here on your left as the Hansshow. Now I'm aware probably multiple companies sell both. That's just where I got them. Now if you decide you like either one of these throughout the video, I'll leave the link to both of them down in the description below. And no matter which way you go, both of these companies have partnered with me that allow you, if you'll purchase it using my channel name, Charisma, you'll get a maximum discount you can get off of anything in your cart when you pick one of these up. So I had planned on trying to rig up a side-by-side comparison. I'll be very honest with you, I couldn't tell a difference in picture. So I tried this for an hour or two over the course of a couple days. They're so identical. So as far as just the general picture, I don't see a huge difference one to another, although I'll read you the specs here in just a minute. They're both 1080p. They're both, the back cameras are weatherproof. I think they're both durable. Okay, let's talk about physical size first. Compared to the Cybertruck mirror that I have here, it's quite a bit bigger. I mean, it's significantly bigger, and you can turn both of these off so they're just a mirror if you wanted that for some reason, but I don't know why you would. But this Hansshow model now compared to the S92 Tesstudio. So the Hansshow model is an 8.2 inch. The Tesstudio 92, which I believe how it gets its name, is 9.2, so it's a full inch bigger. Here you can see it lined up to see that slight size difference. I want size in my screens, so I prefer the larger screen. Now, in theory, you are going to have an inch left of something blocking your view with the Hansshow model, but that's kind of up to you. The S92 is a little bigger. Let's talk about how do they mount. There's the S92. The cord, as you can see here, is wrapped inside of the mount all the way through, whereas the Hansshow one, it kind of pulls out the front. So it shows cord a little bit more in this model, but again, really small difference. I have their Generation 2 bracket on my Hansshow. Now, I originally installed the original mount. I can tell you the upgraded one is significantly better. It's a much harder material, and it's just, it fits in that area just a little bit nicer. The S92 one has this benefit of, since the cords are run through here like this, it actually mounts to me just a tad easier because you can see the footprint is actually a little smaller than the Hansshow. So I had a little bit easier time just physically fitting this one up into place into that shroud, which can be a little tricky. But again, once you get the hang of it, this isn't really a problem either. Physical similarities and differences. So again, here's my S92 from Tesstudio. Here's my Hansshow one. They both have a power button, as you can see there on the bottom. The S92 is going to have different breathers along the top, or speakers, whatever these might be, that just aren't on the Hansshow one. Not sure if that's the plus or minus. Top side of the S92 has where you get the SD card, whereas the SD card is on the side of the Hansshow model. They both have access. Now, one thing that's different, which I thought was pretty cool, is the S92 Tesstudio one came with an included little SD card. I think it's a 64 gig. So that was ready to use right out of the box, where if I wanted to use one with the Hansshow model, I'd have to go buy it, which, to be honest, I never did make the time to do that throughout the couple months I used this. Front-facing cameras, well, there's not a lot to compare there either because they're the exact same, even the same colors. The cameras, to me, I think they look like the exact same camera, so I couldn't notice any discernible size difference, shape difference, cord difference, or picture difference. Those are the exact same. They both have this little built-in little photo cell. It's going to sense light and make your screen brighter or dimmer based on what the outside daylight or nighttime product is. They both have that pretty nice feature. Let's talk about the physical dimensions of the rear cameras. I have the two of them here. This is the S92 Tesstudio. This is the Hansshow model. So they're basically the same. And again, I told you I couldn't tell a discernible difference between the picture of the two, although maybe for a sharper eye, you could. If anything, I probably lean toward the S92 as far as just clarity. One thing that is cool about the Tesstudio one, I've taken that is you can see it's set in a little bit where the actual eye pixel is. My Hansshow one was right on the edge. So I'm here in Colorado. I'm getting snow 3-4 times a week the last 4 or 5 weeks in a row. Having this camera set back in a little bit, I feel like I didn't notice snow and water and stuff getting in like I did with my Hansshow model. Because I do remember several times getting out, wiping this little camera off because it was just blurred, which that's going to happen in a downpour or a blizzard no matter what. I do have the little lip, the little ledge on the Hansshow one, which is nice, but it doesn't seem like it's quite as nice as tucked back in as this one. That being said, I do feel like because it's tucked in a little bit, the camera is zoomed maybe a little bit, so I see just a tad closer. I don't know if you saw my Hansshow video, you saw that I kind of rigged up this little bracket to fit how I wanted, whereas Tesstudio supplied me with the exact one I wanted that fit on top of the license plate, which I'm convinced that is the only place to put it. Now, that being said, I know Hansshow has now updated the brackets they send, and they'll even give you an option to where this can work on the top of the truck or things like that. but I'm pretty convinced the back of the license plate is the best place for it. Something cool about these cameras I didn't mention in either install video before, these both have something in them, some kind of damage or collision control, that if they were to be inverted, they record camera and store it, and it can't be erased. It'll give you time to come get it. Pretty cool. And by the way, if you want to see how to install either one of these, I'll leave the link to those install videos down in the description below so you can watch both and see how to do it. And I do think I can cut an hour off your install time to take some of my hints, especially the more recently one I've done, the S92. I'll kind of show you the updated way of how I get this to the back of the truck for that rear camera. Let's talk about installs. Now, the installation is somewhat similar because they're both going to attach right where your old mirror was. That part's about the same. I mentioned earlier with the cords, I felt like the S92 was just a little bit easier to get up into place. The fact that I wasn't having to fight through those cords the same way it was before, but that's somewhat negligible. How they get their power now is totally different, and let me tell you why I think this matters. Now, if one of you out there, please correct me if you think I'm wrong about this. I get my power through the Hansshow one. This is what's installed here right now. I have to dub into this, it tees out, and then goes back into the power of the truck first, so it's just transferring power. To then which I get power to this cable, which I then connect to the actual mirror itself, and that's how it powers everything else. The S92 one is going to be completely different, and why it's different is it's not getting its power from this little shroud up top. It's actually getting its power from the DC unit down the passenger door of the truck. The benefits that I see is getting the power from the DC voltage down the door rather than the power up here is it recognizes when you leave the car so much better, so much easier. So I would come out to my garage oftentimes at night to come out and get something, and I would notice my Hansshow model still on. It's like glowing in my car. It shut down when my car went to sleep, and only when my car went to sleep. It woke up again when I woke it up. So if I warmed up in the morning, I'd come out, it was already on. My S92, and I think this is why, it hooks to that DC power in the car. When I open my door, as you'll see here, I get this nice little Cybertruck logo on the front, kind of pops on. But also when I leave my car and shut, and when it shuts down in a matter of a couple seconds, this camera goes off. So I wasn't unnecessarily draining power with this on. Now, that being said, I've read and I've talked to people who say Hansshow has done something to correct this. My model doesn't seem to do that. If there's something else I'm missing, please let me know. But that's one benefit I've noticed of getting the power somewhere else. The other benefit of getting your power in the door and not in this shroud is it gets really crowded. So it's nice not to have to make one more electrical connection up here to be able to just run a wire out and make the connection down there. The other benefit of the S92 that I'll show you here once I have it all hooked up is it does instant touch recording. That's an option I have here that I don't have on the Hansshow one. It's a little bit more difficult for me to record. Now let's talk rear view camera connections. Now this is important, so stay with me here because in theory this does affect the picture. So the Hansshow one is just an analog plug. This is what's used on, let's say, 90% of the digital media cameras out there. One from Tesstudio, which is here on your left, is a digital LVDS connection. This is going to allow for a little bit more stable picture and maybe a little bit sharper picture with the same amount of resolution, the 1080p. This is what's on the Tesstudio one, and this analog here is what you have on the Hansshow one. But in fairness, digital AV stuff is not my specialty. In theory, you do get a stable, sharper picture with the digital plug as compared to the analog. With the S92 camera being slightly larger than the Hansshow model, it is a little bit heavier. Now, it's just hanging from your truck, so I don't see that being a factor, but for what it's worth, it is slightly wider, thicker, and heavier than the Hansshow model. One last little cool feature that the S92 has. It does have an app. Now, that being said, it's a tad hokey because it's not Play Store or Safari supported, so you just get it through the internet. Now, it is a real app. You can download it, and there's a bunch of things you can do to help enhance or just kind of check on your mirror through that app. One quick note about whichever mirror you decide to put up, you can't cover this silver area to this area up here. What that does is that little area controls your GPS. Now, I made a whole little video on this. I'll also leave this link down in the description below. But in a nutshell, you can mess up your GPS system if you cover wire with this area. So right now I'm recording out my front camera. So again, you can see I can scroll up and down. Again, you can do this on both the Hansshow and the Tesstudio model. So if I swipe to the side, that's reverse. I can swipe again. It's a split screen. So whether it's split screen, back, or forward, I can record anytime. So that's what this little record button is here. So I just started recording. So I can record now and take pictures instantly. So I just took a picture. Look, you took a picture. Or I can also turn this off. So this here is just kind of showing you what it looks like when you open the door and the mirror comes on. As you'll see here again, when I shut the door and the mirror goes off. Now this footage is sped up 3 times. As always, thanks for watching. I hope this video was a help to you. And again, I couldn't tell you how much I recommend you getting one of these for your truck. It really changes your day-to-day driving. So many cool features to offer. See you in the next video.